summer months because and the so the first update I want to give everyone is update. I'm just trying to keep on the document all of the academic stuff and updates that we have started. And the 94 archive and Google update. In this district, as of on Friday, we tested every student for 9 the month of April and March, which is you know, our K3 students received the Imes web assessment again. So that was the second time we did that with the district. And then our 3rd through 8th graders did the forward assessment. So 3rd grade kind of took the double ding of having to do 2 state tests and 2 different state tests at a time. And I'm going to kind of share a little update of what our data is telling us. So sorry, it just didn't get complete because we were still testing kids on Friday. So where are we? What's our implementation? So we are implementation for required items. Our second round, starting next school year, will be this times the school district. And what does that mean? Do the Imes web assessment on all of the state diagnostic assessments for all newly identified students. So any students that were identified below the 24th percentile on the Imes web. I reiterate that because it doesn't matter if we have any other data points that show that a student's doing well. If that triggers it, they trigger a plan. So and then we go in and do additional diagnostics. Should we be concerned? Was this just a bad day, a blip, something else occur? And our reading team goes and does about anywhere between 3 or 4 additional assessments. Usually a core phonics assessment survey, phonological awareness survey, all of that, and our reading record, and try to find out, and then we collect that information about the personal reading. And then the implementation plan, and we have our family surveys required to offer to any. Input data will be set home for staff for April tomorrow. I meet with all the grade level teams and letting them know when all this information comes out. I don't like to send it without letting them know it's coming about the time they get questions from parents. We did, however, send out our 4K results for spring. They do not have a requirement for a personal reading plan, but it does kind of tell us what to expect that might happen in garden. And we've taken a look at that data, and there's instructional specialists that have been working with Sarah and safety and what kind of get to see how can we support those students for the yeah. I don't do something with summer, something else over the summer, or so we have that here webpage that we can push out to them and let them know of all the activities that they can do over the summer. Again, I'm always a little cautious because it's one data point, and we aren't doing a significant amount of diagnostics on them yet. Because developmentally, they're still really really key to our salvage. Yeah, and just a little bit about what dealing with next path. So, you know, it launched us down from K to 3rd grade. I've only taken 2 parent questions on how to access the information. It's going really well in launch. We're trying to get it. That's
but people are accessing.
They have to acknowledge the personal reading plans in there, and that's how their results go. Yeah. The personal reading plan, again, will be sent from the next path if it's a plan. Otherwise, it's a slide document each night. We made support changes or whatever. A parent can go in there and make a time. We are working on a multi-level support spreadsheet aligned with some of our product monitoring tools. That's just teachers speak because right now we need to identify students don't have the progress monitoring what we currently are, but we are going to be able to be spending some time reading an eye of what other data people like that we think is better than Ames Web. And so that's kind of, we have a major spreadsheet going with that information. What we want to do with that. You have 10 updated custom letters about where they are, and actually inputs the graph from Ames Web. What does that look like? How are kids working towards their goal? And that's going to be set forward in that as well. I know I shared with the board in January that we have a family involvement website that we created in the required grade levels. We started there, so 4K grade. But since then, our team now has food grade pretty decent. We're still looking for a couple more things, but that's ready to go, and we do that in our student center. And then you know, about 2/3 complete on the Wisconsin required reading training for our staff. Out of the 30 hours of training that it takes, we've given them 27 hours. So I think we did pretty good at supporting our teachers. We didn't get exactly there, but we will be really close. That's where we are on like at 20. I did want to give some update of where we were. I updated this chart of the number of personal reading plans by grade level and what their percentage was. And I did that in January, and then I did that for April. And then I added about how many kids we could exit from plans that no longer fell under the 24th percentile. Each grade levels, which meant a total of 18 students. But some of those students in April fell off, but we're still keeping their reading plans. Because we don't want to yo-yo families with reading plans. So even though a kid might have been, I'll say a 22 in winter, we put them on a plan, maybe they got a 30 this time, which we said we didn't need a plan, but we still don't like the 30. So we're gonna still going, something's working, let's keep that going. Ultimately, we don't want kids on and off plans, we want to track that a little better. So they're not exited, but I'm telling the board that they are. So those kids are part of the numbers that we count personal reading plan. So, you know, some kids that could in essence come on, and some kids were added. And so you can kind of see the percentages. You know, really, you know, our lower class sizes, adding a couple kids with our grade levels that have smaller classes. A couple kids can really up their numbers. We're keeping our eye on first grade. We got a really good handle. We're a little slow on our small group instruction with our new literacy adoption. That kind of came just really hit heavy end of January, February. So not seeing, you know, that we really hit that hard next year, we'll be off and running. So we'll keep our eye on it. But nice to see you on the We've never had as many kids in the section. I would think, to be honest, I forget the percentile, but if we could triangulate 2 data points, so I mean, I'm ready with the 24th percentile, we'd probably only have district wide in these grade levels. It was like 8 to 10 total. So
That's a lot rigorous.
well, and it's just the one data point, and you know, any given day, kids. I mean, our kindergarten teachers will tell you right now, the kids are so distracted, like by things. You know, they'll want to talk about their day instead of reading the letters. You know, so you know, and we're not allowed to use anything else. So
Do you have any data elsewhere outside of it?
we don't. There is a reporting requirement for us at the end of the school year, and then we'll collect. They will probably have some data points coming from state. I will tell you as many reading plans as we have here. I definitely can tell you from talking just to my peers, like this is nothing, and I think it's a lot. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, and again, 13, not do anything, the legal requirement for working like these, that fall. So we did have to, so if we're looking at it, about 14 on our, if we, you know, see that for it. And then, what are we working on next? Student data next path, every time you remember all those diagnostics that we put in. Those don't get auto synced with the next path, but we've been doing a lot of staff training and with any assessment, like that core phonics, the phonemic awareness assessment. We are entering all that data in next path, so that's gonna follow student. So next year, if these kids pop up again and we have all this assessment information, we don't have to start from scratch. Say, oh, this is what they did in short follows, we know exactly what they got wrong, and we can start testing from there on. Instead of taking all. It right, because we have auto syncs on a lot of our data into the next path, but that can only be data all of our students are taking. So if we do a running record with the student, or we do the core phonics survey, we're not doing that to every student, so they need to be entered, but it is very. It's we have the iReady spring assessment coming, so that will be another data point. The family involvement website, what's next? I just want to tell you now, our math team wants to replicate that. So we're working on how do we take this great stuff for our families and reading and replicate that in math. So we're gonna work on that. We talked about the continued training staff. So they have to finish that and then finish it by the end of our school year. We haven't approved, well, you have to approve a promotion policy. And you have to do that for July 1st, so that's going through policy, I think, May,
K-12.
and then
May and June.
June approval. So that's a legal requirement. And we're not like dragging our feet on that. The requirement meant for DPI to put something out, which they did at the end of December. It took WASB and Bill some of our things about 6 weeks to kind of tear their policy and come up with things that they liked. So, you know, and then got some drafts going, worked on that. We continue to work out the bugs. What worked this year? How can we improve? And basically scheduling summer work. And our reading team is working, our interventionists and our instructional specialists on a day over the summer to kind of fix what we just wanted to spend more time with now that we've lived it. So we're gonna do that. Look for additional progress monitoring tools, not just Imes Web. Because Imes Web statistically was not designed to be unless a student's in an intensive intervention. So when it's being used outside of those purposes, it looks like students aren't growing or they're super growing and it's a different thing out of this design. So we need to keep looking at it. And then of course, I'm really good at spending money. So I'll continue to spend it on doing this for me. But we have found some holes in our interventions that we're going to continue to do and build and transition some of those things. The majority of it is really just more decodable textbooks for our classrooms. We don't have anything in there currently. And then we want to make sure we use different books and intervention than what they were doing in the classroom. So we have different settings. We're trying to look at each of them and say, everyone loves these books. They say, but we want them. And then the intervention, no, I want that set. So, you know, we kind of have to take that, but we have all of that kind of exciting. And of course, the thing that I'm very excited for is our new role where we're bringing on a special designed reading interventionist to work with our students with disabilities. We had amazing candidates. We did screeners today and we're very lucky we're going to be back. So really excited about that. you know, just to add to our routine, but also really to just prioritize those minutes with a really qualified teacher. And I just want to be honest, I think everyone we're bringing in, I don't want to misspeak, but it would be almost everyone of doing that one are dual certified, which means they are special education certified teachers and certified teachers. So I was really hoping for that, and wow. So that's kind of what we're working on next. Any questions about that 20? Yes, we have to do the forward. And the only way kids can exit reading plans, only based on state law, is that they have to pass the state test. So, or they're in a reading plan and still figure the results. And on one measure, right?
Yep. So I shared that with standard policy. Yep. Marie and I kind of drafted that, and that'll be moving forward. Yep.
So, line but so we do get data from Arrowhead once a year. We get it, just got it, not even. And we get the freshman first semester data. So this was the 23-24 eighth graders. How did they do their first semester at Arrowhead? And they do that on a grade report. So that's going to be the first kind of thing we review here. And then what they do is they give us ACT, pre-ACT data from our Merton kiddos from their current sophomore classes, their pre-ACT data from the state test that they took as freshmen. Are you following me? And now, for the first time ever, since we require all our kids to take it in 8th grade here, we can look at those sophomores. That was the first year. How did they do in the same pre-ACT data and how did they leave her? And that's the exciting graph for Maria.
Let the cat out.
So let's take that and dive in a little bit into the report of their. I really looked at this to say, how are Ron and I doing on that we run out because people will bring big ACT parent nights, and we try to really work with our parents, taking that data to say what would people do, or how they set the first election at Arrowhead. So to me, it would be if I'm choosing the classes that they're in, that means in math, for example, we did good placement recommendation that kids are in the right place. And it means that, you know, we did a good job of helping our parents select classes that are appropriate. You'll see in the individual class that is kind of Merton. Our courses, our students and what courses they take, and then Arrowhead, there does that fit with total Arrowhead. The stars mean there are 4 or less students on there, so we don't want to identify small students. But overall, you know, majority of our kids are doing well in their, you know, standard class, and in their English time. They have created some classes, but they haven't changed what they're teaching. Go back to that. That's something. So, I would see these things and be like, that was called something else. Yeah. Oh, you know, in English, it was science are science class. I don't know any doing science anymore. Or they can take an this is a name change, an accelerated class They're basically, they can take science, and biology together. In their schedule, that means that they look at it every day. So, there's that, we see science black, white. One is, what did they get first order, and what did they get second? That's what the delta does. Okay. So, I look at it, and we get, 20 kids in science black, and out of those 15 of them are pretty good for our class process. I think kind of was, again, it's correct choice. Try to the meeting of meeting experience, what they will have to profile and then start. Math is always something the big, many places are to go. These are all freshman offerings. Foundations of algebra, that is only by teacher. The majority of the time, their students' abilities, it's a little more hands-on, kind of just that little priority standard now that are up here. Yeah, algebra, like after algebra. Students, so then they get some. We have algebra B. We have algebra, which is regular course that you might be familiar with, but thinking, they have geometry, or geometry. They have algebra B class, which is a daily math class where they teach algebra and geometry every day. Speaker. They have the advanced algebra class, advanced algebra class, and great. So again, they're all pretty much and all girl have and what it was. Well, you don't know what the grade is. Well, you don't know what the grade is. I guess that's why. So you get some perspective. So that would be a kid that is that again, I would say overall, I was really happy with our grade distribution in the classes. It's quite a process to identify kids into that process. We are next year to do the process better. So working with girls that have that for and then supposed to study that either a advanced geography or and we have 7 students choose to go into and their he needs for pass fail for a 90. And then here is software class. I'm going to look at our work data. And then if you want to go out and we're being it's very exciting. So a couple of things about the basic. Again, how this start? It can be 20 later, which is 324 was last year, 425, right? So that's our current sophomores. That all of the tier schools agree to deliver that to all students. So it was the first time, it's the only test that Arrowhead gets on all of your school that's common with the students that are in. So that's new. And then at the same time, the state, changed their statewide test in grades 8 to 9 to the grades 6. Here, fire and and that's delivered online, ours is the paper and pencil test. Okay, that gets scored. And we're similar, but one is a different goal. Again, you be able to also there will be that color. And then that was the first year that people had colors. Kind of fair. I don't have access to all of this. So, no, you know. I will tell you, you take about 369 still, higher level versus context. One of the most important habits after the nine would be, you know, that we can five and a half. That's the problem. What is the college what like you what age got it is what you're allowed. You're the one is the first one big test. So that are again over so this team, we have Merton and Arrowhead right. So when you're reading this graph, our amount of students that were college and career met the benchmark at 8th graders that were in math would be 4%. When they took that test at Arrowhead, that's freshman, that was raising that 5%. Fine. You know, kind of go down. I don't tell you that it's not really bad. It's a combination of things. Every year is full of it's just something we have to learn and kind of track. It's math and science together. So we're going to see people why, you know, why we're all busy because we have a kind of professional development. And then you see in English, 90% of our kids left us. The test again, college right with the so what's interesting to me, it's just I feel like we're setting them something. When we have conversations, I like to talk data. It feels like when we get to Arrowhead, sometimes wonder if it's how we're setting them prepared. That's the question. We're setting our kids prepared. I want to be able to tell you something to correct forget. Still don't have 100%. We've got work to do. But when they're there and how kids are doing on the state test, want to kind of now Arrowhead has to be able to say, okay, this is what our feeder schools are doing. And now this is what we're doing. We're we also so it's the first year. I don't want to rush the act, right? We want to look at data trends as this happen over time. And then the last graph, I think I'm going to go through the inverse of this, the percentage of students that did. So I have of course not that numbers difficult.
Where that comes from.
Well, that's I guess whoever you talk to, right? Like if Arrowhead figures out what you say, right? We have 4 data points, right? I mean, Arrowhead gets 6 out of the top 10 school districts out of the report card filtering into them. So we've got a perception. But we don't have a common data point on that. They don't use the word there. So now we kind of have a little sets of that to be able to talk and start doing that. And how can we work together that into this work? And I know we're got the whole, right? I know it's the friends, how can we help with our all of us? I'm not sure maybe it won't direct. I have a lot of both. As that and as a parent, I have a child. You know, I think, we're sharing this information with them. They didn't provide this to us, right? They provided us the arrowhead numbers, and then I took our data and plugged in everything back to start telling a story. And again, I never say what data to two, right? But if we see trend data on this next year, then we're really gonna have to sit down and we'll have another pre-ACT score for these kids. If they show what they just took in our.
Thank you, Maria. Appreciate that. Thank you. Transition into the board. No, we're good.
Let's see here. Looking to speak this evening. First on my list is Ashley Renz.
Not really speak. It's just a question.
Hi,
Hello.
parent of the community and school district, Ashley. Just a question. I've been asked to find out why we're not posting the minutes after the meetings to the website. Obviously, we're posting the videos, we're posting the agendas in advance. Emails are coming out with the agendas in advance, but apparently the meetings have not been, the meeting minutes haven't been updated since February.
Okay, we can make sure those get up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
So
you
they're
for
not,
highlighting
they're
that.
not posted. Is that accurate?
To the website?
It'd be a month delayed anyway, because we have.
They're always a month
At
delayed.
least a month delay.
They would be a month delay.
Yep.
So
March.
March,
Is getting,
does March get approved tonight? No.
To approve March tonight.
March will be approved.
March gets approved tonight. Yeah, then we post them.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're always a month behind until they get
I
approved.
will let them know.
Thank you. I was starting to get worried there.
Yeah.
So we're right on track.
Thanks for
Yes,
keeping
so
an eye on
February,
it.
February is on there
Yes.
currently, so we are approving March minutes this evening.
I promised the parent I would ask.
No, thank you.
I
Thank you
like
for the
that
question.
question.
You had us questioning the questioner, right? All right, moving forward, we have one more signed up this evening, Katie Farchman.
Hello. It's my
Hi, Katie.
time for a solo, right? Mr. Griffin, welcome to the board.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your position. Obviously, you know, my name is Katie Farshman. I hosted the community forum, or I guess it was the candidate forum. And unfortunately, you weren't able to make it, but people still want to know a little bit about you. So could you tell us just a little bit about your background? Like, how long have you lived in Merton? What's your professional background? Just give us a short bio.
Sure. I'm married with two daughters. They're 25 and 22, and we've been in Merton for almost 8 years now. And most of my professional career was a United States Marine Corps officer and then a pharmaceutical sales rep. When we had our oldest daughter, I transitioned to being a stay-at-home dad, and then shortly became both a coach in high school for track and field and cross country, as well as I had my own coaching service for young men and women that were going to go into the military or the academies or ROTC commands. And I have over 25 young people that are currently serving on active duty, about 40 total, some that are left active duty. And as far as getting involved with the board, I believe children deserve a challenging, dynamic, and engaging education. And I don't think that if it's a public school or a private school or a charter school matters. What matters is the education that's provided. I think that I obviously have a responsibility for the education of the children and the knowledge that their parents have with access, with teachers, lesson plans, curriculum, etc. I'm a firm believer that our parents are the first teachers of our children. And I think that Merton has set a great example with that. That's everything I can witness to from talking to friends who have children here. I also have a fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers. And Ron can attest to this. When I first met him, I said, if I win and I become a virtuous man or better, more virtuous man, great. If I lose and become a more virtuous man, great. And if I win, but I lose my virtue, I don't defend my faith, that's not going to happen. So I'm looking forward and I'm honored to have been elected. And I think the school board is integral to the success of the school. But I also believe that the positions the five of us hold are as important, but doesn't get the most notice as any other elected position throughout our country. Because when a child does not get an education that leads them to a life of success in either their vocation or avocation, as well as a life where you would love learning all your life, that's partly our fault. I think we're blessed in Merton. We have two great schools. How do we make them better? How do we provide more access for all the children in the area? I am a huge proponent of children who are, in need of special education. And I love the way that in this school setting, they're part of the classroom and part of the student body. Because I know from personal experience, nieces, nephews, or other family members, how children can feel ostracized very quickly. And I told Ron, Steve, Bob, walking around, and Maria even, every time I came into the school, I saw happy kids. I saw kids that were confident and enjoyed being here. And when you see something like that, there's a lot of things that go into why they're feeling that way. And so I'm honored to be here, and I hope to work hand in hand with everybody here the next 3 years just to make it better for our kids. Thank you.
Great.
Appreciate
Thank you.
Okay. That is all who have signed up. Would anyone else like to speak this evening? All right, we have 6:10. So we can go ahead and roll directly into this evening's meeting. All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order, April 28, 2025, the Merton Board of Education meeting. If you'd please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So this meeting has been posted in all the normal and customary posting places. Welcome, Patrick, right, to the board this evening. Just looking for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this evening's agenda. Any discussion this evening?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about where we have this discussion about committee as a whole. That should be in new business. And it's first order of business always on the fourth Monday in April is board reorganization. So I find it kind of unusual to have this committee report here or this discussion.
Can we move it to new business, or is there a reason that it's placed where it is?
I placed it in the beginning because I feel that may have I know we need to make a subcommittees for regardless of this discussion. But it may impact someone's desire to be on a committee or influence to say, well, I'll just take the negotiate, or I'll take, facility committee, just kind of, I don't want to say willy-nilly, but I feel that it might direct an individual if they know that they're not going to be on the committee, if we're going to committee as a whole, compared to doing it after the fact, possibly. It can go either way.
Yeah,
but
I just, because of it's policy. It wouldn't go into place until the earliest, it would be June.
June, correct.
June meeting, correct?
And so you'd have 2 months almost of committees.
Yep.
That should be active committees, so it kind of,
It can go either way.
I have
It's the will of
no
the
problem
board.
moving it to new business. So we need to then
Rescind,
rescind the motion to approve the agenda.
like to rescind my approval of tonight's agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second.
And I would like to make a motion to approve tonight's agenda, moving the discussion about conducting committees as a whole compared to subcommittees to new business.
Second.
To new business,
Item one.
item one,
Or
A, B,
item
C,
one.
or D?
Item one. A.
Item one, item A.
Okay.
Okay. We got a second?
Now.
All right, we had a motion and a second to approve this evening's agenda, with the exception of moving item 5 to new business as point A. Any discussion?
We got it.
All those in favor say yes.
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 Yes. Opposed say no. Motion carries. Okay, we're moving forward, as Dean pointed out.
Before we move forward, I'm sorry. I just want to let everybody know that I'm having a bit of a family emergency, but I wanted to be here tonight because of the importance of the meeting and be part of the team Patrick's first meeting. I am expecting a phone call from a doctor, not that I'm guessing it's going to come anymore today, but if I have to step out, that is why. So my apologies.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Hope all goes well. So board reorganization is our first item this evening, which we start with the election of officers. We can begin with the election of board president.
President. Yep, we'll start with president.
So looking for nominations for board president.
I would like to nominate Justen Kent for president.
I'll second.
Do we have any other nominations?
Yeah, I'll nominate Rebecca Imes for chairman, president.
Second.
Do we have any other nominations for board president? Okay, and we do this as a roll call vote, correct?
Doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be.
Okay, okay. So all those in favor of Justen Kent as president, say yes. Oh, wait, sorry. Oh, we need to go to discussion first.
Yes.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on these nominations this evening?
I'm pleased to be nominated. This will be my third year with the board, and I'm really pleased with how our strategic plan is going and things like that. So I'd be happy to be a part of the leadership, that portion of the leadership of the board.
Thank you. Any other discussion this evening? Okay, now we're going to a vote. All those in favor of Justen Kent for president, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, say no.
No.
Motion carries. Okay, moving forward to vice president. Nominations for vice president this evening.
Nominate Rebecca Imes to be the vice president.
Second.
Motion and a second for Rebecca Imes. Any other nominations? I'll nominate Pat Griffin, if you'll take the nomination.
Yeah, I'll second.
All right, we have 2 nominations. Any other nominations for vice president? Okay. So Rebecca Imes and Patrick Griffin have been nominated for vice president. Any discussion this evening?
Again, happy to serve. This is something that I've done for a while, familiar with parliamentary procedure, and happy to be able to serve if the president is not available to run the meeting.
Which Mondays, you never know. Baseball season, right? All right, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of Rebecca Imes for vice president, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no.
No.
No. 3 yeses, so motion carries. Rebecca Imes is vice president. Moving forward to treasurer. Looking for nominations for a treasurer. Which you served in
Yes.
last
I've
year,
served.
right? Ron, want a recap of the treasurer's responsibilities?
They are a check signer, so we'll have to make a signature.
Okay.
Pretty much about it. And if there's any bank issues,
Bank
bank will be texting you or calling you too as well. That's so far the,
Thank you, thanks.
President gets that as well. You get.
you get that too. Not the superintendent. It's interesting how they
Yeah,
don't
that's-
call me for that. But yeah.
All right, so looking for nominations for treasurer this evening.
Nominate Dean Dobbertin.
I'll second that. Any other nominations for treasurer this evening?
We have treasurer, clerk,
And then just member. Right, yeah. So
Okay. Yep. All right. Hearing none. Any discussion on Dean's nomination for treasurer? Okay, all those in favor of Dean Dobbertin as treasurer, say yes.
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 Yes. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. All right, moving forward to the position of clerk. Nikki, you served as clerk last year, so taking nominations for the position of clerk.
I move we nominate Nicole Cotton for the clerk position.
I'll second. Any other nominations for the position of clerk this evening? Okay, hearing none. Any discussion of the clerk position?
Nicole, you've served 2 years. Is this still okay?
yeah, I've bounced around a little bit in there. I think I did. I was treasurer for a bit and clerk. I enjoy it. I think I do my duties well.
You do well.
Nice
You,
signature.
you've got a really nice signature. A really nice signature, which is the most important thing.
All right.
Being a clerk.
I like your notes.
All those in favor of Nicole Cotton as clerk, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
That's it.
And that means, to recap, Justen Kent as president, Rebecca Imes as vice president, Dean Dobbertin treasurer, Nicole Cotton as clerk, and then Patrick Griffin as member this year. Okay, the good news is we all have equal standing anyway. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Ready?
Now we are moving forward to committee assignments. So I would ask before we move forward here, Ron, maybe you just can list them
Yes.
with current members.
Sure,
That
sure.
would be helpful.
Let me
to me.
pull that up. So negotiations committee, if we were going to start there, negotiations right now is Dean and Justin.
Which negotiations committee met once last year?
As you go through, it might be helpful to say how often.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sure. So negotiations, we met one time this past April for approximately 15 minutes.
Okay.
Yep. In some years, it's an hour for the most part,
All right.
but it's a commitment one time a year typically.
And then so let's take nominations for,
Do you want to go through the whole list or do you want to?
Yes, please.
oh, you want to do the full list? Okay,
Oh, the
let's do
full list? Oh,
People
okay.
know what they're signing up for.
Okay, policy, I'm sorry, policy was Nicole Cotton and Troy Anderson. Policy meets probably, every other month. They meet with our staff on meet and confer sessions, approximately 3 times a year. And then ultimately, any policies that need to be brought forward. Next year is the 5th year, so we're not going to have any policy revisions for next year, so it's not as heavy a lift as what it will be moving forward. So again, I don't envision a lot of policy work being done next year unless, for instance, we do have the Act 20 policy work that has to happen as required by state statute. So I would say about, I'd say 6 times a year for about an hour each time.
Okay.
Finance Committee, Dean Dobbertin and Justen Kent. Again, we meet at least quarterly, typically quarterly, so about 4 to 5 times a year. We review quarterly financials. We do get a first sneak peek at all the budgets. Ultimately, either the preliminary budget, which is happening next month, then you have the annual meeting, and then ultimately the October levy as well. So approximately 30 minutes per meeting approximately. So facility, last year was Troy Anderson and Dean Dobbertin. Again, typically meets 2 to 3 times a year just to take a look at what other main facility projects would be on the horizon. Approximately 1 hour. Again, when I say facility, that does include technology infrastructure as well. So, and then CISA 1 rep, again, it says it was Troy last year. Again, as active as you want to be, you are considered the Merton Community School District delegate. So you'll be getting those emails and you will get to vote at their voters meetings too as well, if you if you wish to go. WASB last year was Rebecca Imes. Again, just getting more WASB. I wouldn't say maybe it's the same WASB things, but ultimately when there is an opportunity to be delegate, to be heard, if you wanted to attend, some of the specific delegate meetings, that opportunity is there too as well. Then we had student achievement, which was Rebecca Imes and Justen Kent. That typically meets, about 7 times a year. Yep. Maria up there hooting and hollering there. But about 7 times a year. Again, just really, you get curricular updates. You get the first sneak peek at all of the district student data, as well as, some of the instructional things. But like this year, the big lift was Act 20. So also, like say next month, we're going to be meeting to preview our professional development calendar as well too. So that meets probably about 7 times a year, between 30 minutes and an hour. That's the rundown.
Justin, for this process, can we go through and have everybody say the thing that they'd most like to be a part of? Is that something that we can get people's interest? Because people need to usually serve in more than
Yeah,
one
I mean, I
place.
can-
And so getting one place that you're particularly interested in.
Yeah, so as our policy stands currently, 2 members are allowed to be on a committee.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
So I would say self-nomination in this case would be the most
Absolutely.
fair way to go about it. So we'll start with the negotiations committee.
Currently Dean Dobbertin and Justen Kent.
I'm willing to stay on that.
I'm fine stepping off if anyone's interested in joining that committee. Anyone interested in that committee? Otherwise, I'll stay.
You guys did a really good job.
15 minutes of my life was just.
All right. So it sounds like Dean and Justin.
Do we make a motion?
I'll make a
I
motion.
believe we have to make
Yep.
motions
Yep.
to assign. So,
You're making the motion.
So Patrick is. Okay.
Negotiations.
Make a motion for both the gentlemen to be on the negotiation.
so I have a motion for Dean and Justin to be on the negotiations committee. Do we hear a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
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 Opposed say no. Motion carries. All right, policy.
I would like to stay on policy, please.
I would like to be on the policy committee as well.
Make that motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to appoint Nicole Cotton and Justen Kent to the policy committee. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed say no. Motion carries. Okay. Finance.
I'll do it again this year.
Pat, if you're interested in learning how things work, it's a good committee. Your
That is a
first
good
year,
one.
it was really helpful to be
I
my
can do
first
it. I'd like to
year.
do it.
Okay, so we have Dean and Patrick for the finance committee. We have a motion for that. I'll make a motion for that. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. On to student achievement. Last year was Rebecca Imes and Justen Kent.
I'd like to stay.
Maria is the reason why I really want committees of the whole, because it's important that everybody hear her information. Okay. But I would like to step off that committee, give someone else a chance to get exposed to all that
I'd
wonderful.
like to step on that.
Okay. All right. So we have Patrick and Rebecca for student achievement. I'll make a motion for that. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second for Rebecca Imes and Patrick Griffin for student achievement. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Opposed say no. Motion carries. Facilities?
Facility?
Facility.
Sure.
It was
Like to stay on
Dean and
that.
Troy
Yep.
I would like to go on the facility committee as well.
and Dean stay on.
And Dean would
Yeah,
like to
yeah.
stay on as well, unless anyone else is interested, of course. So
I'll make a motion for that.
One,
Two.
2, 3.
I'll make a motion for the,
All right, we have a motion to appoint Dean Dobbertin, Justen Kent to facilities.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed say no. Motion carries. Moving forward to appointing the CISA 1 rep, which is always a popular opportunity for somebody.
I will respectfully decline that.
I'll keep WASB, but I'll keep WASB. If that's,
What did you say?
I said I'll keep WASB, for WASB too.
Okay.
CISA one.
I'll give the Cecil one a shot.
Man,
Take
man.
one for the team.
All right, that seat is good luck right there.
There you
Okay, all
are.
right. All right, so I'll make a motion. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Motion to appoint Patrick Griffin as the CISA one rep.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second to appoint Patrick Griffin to CISA 1. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed say no. All right. All those in favor say thank you. All right,
Thank
last
you.
but not
Hear that,
least, moving
Patrick.
forward to our WASB rep, which last year was Rebecca Imes.
I'm happy to continue serving unless somebody else would like to.
Anyone else interested? Okay,
Motion for Rebecca Imes as the WASB representative.
I will second that. We have a motion and a second to appoint Rebecca Imes as the WASB rep. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
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 Opposed say no. Sorry, I'm a yes. Motion carries. Okay,
We are reorganized.
we are reorganized.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Right.
All right.
You want that for your.
Yes, please. Thank you. Do you, Peggy, are we good with this? You need?
Oh, I got it.
Got it.
I got it
Thank
too.
you. Okay.
Yep.
All right, now we're moving forward to approval of tonight's consent agenda. Looking for a motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second. We have a motion and a second to approve this evening's consent agenda. Any discussion this evening?
This is gonna be in that consent agenda.
Yep, it is. I did include it in the consent agenda. It's in part of the packet.
Should we not be talking about that?
You did include it.
I did include it.
I know, but-
I did include Becky Hadley.
Yeah, I'm just saying, as a board, shouldn't we be talking about that, somebody resigning during the year?
She was again, I don't know. I don't
You
have
can
the
pull it out if
details
you'd
why.
like. Sure.
Because they're resigning on 5/9.
I just know that we found out about it on Friday and submitted the letter today. So giving us 2 weeks notice as a support staff member.
Would you like to pull it out or you wanted to move forward?
I'd like to pull it out because we need to
Okay.
talk about it.
All right, so we need to,
Rescind
out.
my motion of tonight's consent agenda.
A second.
second. All right, motion a second to rescind that motion.
Make a new motion to approve tonight's consent agenda minus
Pulling out the resignation of Becky
Becky Hadley.
Yep.
Okay. I'll second. We have a motion and a second to approve this evening's consent agenda, pulling out for discussion the resignation of Becky Hadley. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed say no. Motion carries. Okay, so now we're going to move forward to the specific personnel action, which is this evening's letter received from Becky Hadley.
Yep. So received the letter. Bob received notification. Maybe he knows a little bit more that he can share. That's not, personal in nature, but
Yeah, she had another employment opportunity that she could wait till the end of the school year, but the employer, they needed her to start right.
Becky's worked for us for about a year. I'd say a little over a year. She worked about 5 hours, I think, 5.5 hours in our 4K area. So thank you, Becky, for your years of service, with
Was
us.
there any liquidation of damage?
Not with 2 weeks notice for a support staff member. Mhm.
Is that something we should? In a school setting, it's very difficult when people cut out a month for the schools.
We certainly we can bring that up through our employee handbook revisions, because right now in our employee handbook, it says 2 weeks notice. There is no liquidated damages. The only damages that we would go back is if she used, too much personal time up in this part of the year. And I know, and knowing Becky's attendance, she hasn't.
Okay.
So there would be no liquidated damages. But that's something we can look at. And I'd have to talk to Bob Butler about that because it is not a contract, it is a letter of appointment
Right.
to see what kind of leeway we do have as the employee in this case.
I'd also want to know what other districts do, because if we're doing something for an IA position that
Mhm.
nobody else does, it could hurt our recruiting.
What do you mean by that?
So if we start doing liquidated damages, but nobody
Okay.
else does.
I see. Okay, thank you.
All right, let's get back to the approving the resignation of Becky Hadley. So looking for a motion, please.
So moved.
Second,
We have a motion and a second to approve the resignation of Becky Hadley. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Okay, moving forward to delegations to be heard. None have signed up. Anyone like to speak? Okay. And we are going to move forward to the district administrator's report.
Yep.
Over to you, Ron.
So no principal or student showcase this month. Open records, the typical ones, been getting more financial ones, interesting enough. But then when I respond back to them to say, okay, it's going to take several hours for us to do this, and here's the price tag, I don't hear back from them. So
Local?
no,
requests?
national.
Okay.
No,
All
a
right.
lot more national requests of late coming in.
So this is looking for people looking for data to add. to
People
reports.
looking for information. Yeah, when I asked, they need to narrow it down, and then I still, say it's going to be X amount of dollars. We need that per our policy, and I share our policy. I don't hear back from them. So, but nothing out of the ordinary at all from that standpoint as well. So, donations this evening, again, it was approved in the consent agenda, but would like to thank the Benjamin Sinclair, his family, for their support for our STEM program. So it was a matching employer situation there. So thank you very much.
Okay. Committee reports.
Sure. So strategic planning committee again got brought back together. Thank you very much for all of us. I think we had about 13 people. We had almost everybody there, which was great to see. Again, we did a recap of what it is that we've been accomplishing. And again, that's basically what we've been sharing with the board the whole year. And then you'll also see some of the preliminary things that we put forward for from our administrative team that we continue to work on and we'll be presenting to the board here very shortly. And just wanted to get some of their feedback too as well. So again, thank you very much for the people who came back, and we spent about an hour together. So
What feedback did you get?
got very good feedback from that retaining to what it is that we've been doing this year. And then again, I'd have to go back and take a look at some of the specific feedback that I got. I know Pastor Mary Jane wanted us to kind of take a look at and see what we could do with Merton's. What was Ashley? I can't remember the gentleman's name, but it was the Nobel Prize winner from like the 1920s from Merton. So we talked a little bit about that, about how we could possibly bring that into, some of the highlighting our programs and things like that. But and then ultimately we talked about some of that community engagement piece, and again, creating a survey to be able to ask our folks in our community about, hey, do you want to get tied to our Sunday communications? But then ultimately asking them a survey about what they would like to hear more about, and what are some of the barriers that you see from a communication standpoint. How would you like to see information brought to you as a community member who may not have a child in our school district? So we talked a little bit about that. And again, that's all going to be implemented into our next newsletter. So yeah, so it was a good meeting, real good meeting. A lot of celebration going on there. So that was our strategic planning committee. Negotiations, again, we talked about that very briefly. It was a very short meeting. Again, you'll see as a new business agenda item, the negotiations team did reach a tentative agreement that evening with our teachers union auto, the Merton branch. So again, you'll see the work of that a little bit later.
And you just to
Sure.
clarify, it was a short meeting this year because of the compensation committee, and that's
Correct. Yeah, it was a short meeting. Now, typically in years past, it's always kind of been a shorter meeting because ultimately there's only so much that can be bargained, but the district can offer above, CPI and things like that. But a tremendous amount of work was done ahead of that. Again, the teacher compensation team came to not only work 20 plus hours, but came to the board in a closed session,
Correct.
presented it. The teacher committee team presented it to the union as well. So when we met, everybody was on the same page. So yeah, a lot of great work by that team.
Something I never would have thought we would ever get to is balancing out the salary schedule.
Yep. We thought that we could get there within some years, over a period of time, but being able to do it over 1 year,
fantastic.
it was great. It was great.
I'd just like to say thank you to everyone that worked so tirelessly on that committee because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And their time and effort does not go unnoticed.
In trying to create a system that works for 60+ employees, 60+ people all across the spectrum in their careers, looking to the future about being able to attract new talent too as well. It was a big task. So we feel very, very proud about what we were able to do. Thank you.
Student achievement.
Okay. Student achievement, again, I would highlight again, kind of to Justin's point. If you can take a look at that last half hour before the meeting. Again, we highlighted a lot of our Act 20 work. Again, thank you to Maria and the reading team. But ultimately, every teacher, 4K through 3rd grade, put a ton of time into making sure that the assessments, the reading plans, the parent communication was immense. So, and then we also did have, our 4th grade teachers and our 5th grade teachers taking science and reading training. So it was a huge effort. Again, kind of a celebration of that work and some details of what we saw in reading plans, how we're responding. Kids are kind of exiting in and out. But again, a lot of great work by Maria and her reading team and our primary school staff. Very heavy lift. Very, very heavy.
I had one question for Maria. I didn't ask earlier. Talking about how much work it was this year, the reading plans will remain, but how much of the learning process will not be on there next year? Like how much of this process, once you've learned it, trying to figure out how much work this is going forward.
Refinements to want to do much better on student engagement. Okay. Those are the 2 big areas for next year.
So I think to specifically, there's a 30-hour training that was required. 27 hours of it was contracted. So we've freed up now 27 hours.
I think there's the training portion. So I'm a teacher. I do my training portion, but then when I go into a new system for the first time, I get half the things I just learned. I have to go back and redo them and that type of thing. So I presume that as you go spend more time in the system, it becomes more usable, or you're figuring out what you need to fix.
Couple of minutes, because it's very syllable. It follows a very common routine and pattern, which the teachers and the kids get. But I think you guys are talking about 2 things. The required science and reading training, which is required for every teacher in the state of Wisconsin. That's teaching and grades K through 3. That's one piece of our training this year. That was the 30 hours that Dr. Russ was referring to. And then you have the actual implementation, the new piece of
that's the part I'm talking about.
Those are the ones that we're going to continue to refine, put more time, build in some more student engagement routines in the materials. Kind of what I said in the update, also, get more decodable text, all focus is what we're doing.
And do you have sufficient budget for the decodable texts that you want to get?
Do we have what?
Sufficient budget? Do you have enough money?
Yes, I do. I worked with Dr. Russ on the budgeting for the last probably 3 months.
Everything they're asking for, they'll get.
Okay. Thank you, Ron. I meant to do this earlier, but because it's a new board, if you guys don't mind, we do a really great job in this district with our board packets. Right. So for everyone listening, everything Ron talks about, we talk about, is all the details linked in this packet. So it might at times seem like it's very brief, but all the detail is there. And I look at a lot of other districts, they don't all do that. Right. A lot of times it's just a PDF copy of just an agenda, right? So we record everything. Everything is very public. So I just wanted to acknowledge that Ron and whoever else, Maggie, whoever else helps with that, does a really nice job. And the board, we're fully committed to making sure that continues. Okay.
The last part of student achievement was our Arrowhead data. Again, it's all in the packet. It's highlighted there. So just some information for our community to see how our kids transition.
I think the part to highlight there would be that this is this first data point from the 8th graders who now taken this is the 10th graders, so that we're going to have more data points going forward. Right. For something we have, this will be the first time we have access to that data.
Okay, thank you, Ron. All right, so now we're going to move forward to new business, which we moved the discussion about committee as a whole to new business this evening. So that's our first point on tonight's new business agenda. So I am the one that asked for this discussion to be brought up again. And I'll give you my quick reasoning on it, right? We're a small board. I looked at our board meetings and how many people in the community watch our board meetings and how many people watch our committee meetings, right? Very few watch the committee meetings, right? So I think a lot of the information might get missed. Okay. I think as a board, I'm just going to take this evening's student achievement committee meeting, all of us were here in some capacity during that, during that meeting. I would like to see us meet as a group 1 hour before the board meeting. We can make it adjust the time as necessary, but all these other committees, I think, are brief, meet a few times a year. We can probably incorporate that all together in one big meeting, have a very open discussion. Committee meetings lack formal Robert's rules, right? We can have a much more open, robust discussion. I think more people would watch it. More information would be shared with the community that way. So when decisions get made at the board meeting, it'll be a little more efficient. Ron won't have to necessarily go in as much detail since we all were exposed to that. And I just think it's a much more efficient way for us to get the business done. And for all of us to get, I mean, I don't always watch every committee meeting, right?
But also you shouldn't have to watch every committee meeting because we come back and report that information. That's part of what.
Yes,
What subcommittees
we
do.
get recommendations, right? And a lot of times there's a lot more discussion that goes on around those. And we've had, I think, more than one instance where something came to this board and ended up not passing, right? And
Out of committee.
Out of
and then
committee.
coming to the board.
Yep. So.
And I don't necessarily see a problem with that. So I have a
Oh, no, neither
question
do
about, okay, how much? So I would see that we would need at least an extra monthly meeting. So we would have 2 meetings per month to get through the committee as a whole.
I think we might have to adjust as we go, but.
I don't think we can get through it in an hour before the board meeting. And sometimes we need all of that hour just to do student achievement. So I would anticipate that we would likely need.
Typically,
an extra
student
meeting.
achievements a half hour, right? Before
It
the,
depends on the
board
meeting.
meeting.
We've gone a full hour.
It's between, this is probably the shortest we've had all year. I would say 45 minutes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
In the next year, we're very heavy. What's new? They'll have science, we're looking at market values and 4K.
4K.
So we have a lot kind of.
Yeah.
In the upper.
Yeah. Okay.
So when I was coming onto the board, I also thought committee of the whole was a good idea, or that's what I was interested in. When I got to the board, I looked at a couple of different things. One is scheduling. We have a difficult time scheduling as it is, even getting our 1 in per month. So getting 2 in per month, I think, would be even harder, and we really would need everybody to be available for that. Once I got onto the board and saw how the committee structure worked, I was really comfortable with, I could attend any meeting that I wanted to attend, even if I was not one of the people who could be talking. So I could still go see everything that was happening. And the reports that I was getting from my fellow board members, I understood, right, that part. I felt moved us along quickly. They had the discussion, they brought back the recommendation. The other thing, when I look into boards that do committee on the whole, have to be really good at conversation and dialogue, and there has to be a lot of that between each other. And in the past year, we have not had very much of that. So my concern is that we would have less conversation and dialogue if we do committee of the whole, whereas in our committees right now, we are getting more discussion happening. I think our community, it is true, our community doesn't watch as much of the committee meetings. They watch here as we report about that. So if they wanted to, they most certainly can still see that. But so my concerns are logistics, trying to get us all together, and quality of discussion. I'm concerned that we have not gotten enough practice in good dialogue with one another, that I'm worried about our quality of decision making.
So I think you just made a great argument for committees as a whole, so we can get more practice with dialogue with one another, right? I think it's much more open.
But why wouldn't it happen in
Chance.
this meeting then?
It certainly can, and I think it does, right? For me, the committee as a whole is a much more efficient process with the small group that we have here, right? To all get exposed to all the same information to be able to make decisions, right, that are best interest of our district. Right. That's just where I'm at. But anyway, that's why I brought it forward to the board this
Other
evening.
thoughts?
What's the administrative recommendation?
I would, my recommendation is the committee structure has worked in the past. It's been, what we've heard in the past from our community is if you get a very large group of people together, it seems like like I kind of share with Bob Butler, seems like the decision gets made there. That's why I would recommend, if we do go to committee as a whole, to do 2 meetings a month, one in the middle of the month, a couple weeks, because for instance, the finance committee coming up here, I'm going to present a lot of budget information, and then that's where I gather feedback, you make adjustments and things like that too. So my recommendation would be to continue to stay small, get 2 recommendations. I think in the past, I think of the policy committee, we've highlighted specific language in policies that we wanted to specifically ask the entire board. There's been times when there's been no committee recommendation where we have to go forward too. So I do like the policy that we currently have where there's 2 members. Any member of the board is welcome to come and attend and participate, but no decisions are made there. But again, it's your policies, not mine. Yeah.
I'm also thinking about the time of our faculty and staff that would come to, we need somebody to come and tell us about this. I mean, we already have administrators here 1 night a month. This would be 2 nights a month that they would need to be here.
And we would really have to stay to it. I mean, we'd have to take a look at it. Second Monday of the month, for instance, will be committee as a whole. And for everybody's schedules, it would have to be that time because it does pull many other people in so that we can plan ahead.
So when we're asking for our resource people and other people to be coming in and talk to us, we're also bringing everybody in the same night for, I think you get longer night meetings. That right now we've got some that are in the mornings. We spread that out over time.
Scheduling is between 2 people instead of 5.
I'll give you an example. When we do the facility committee meeting, we'll have Jordan and Jim there, and who else do we usually have with us?
Me.
Yeah,
About it.
Yeah. And we've done a lot of those in the morning time. When people are available, staff members, so we're not bringing them in the evening. I'd like to stay away. We're going with the committees. I'm not interested in the committee as a whole. And scheduling is one of the issues.
I'm really worried about scheduling. I was just thinking through the next year and some other things that when I ran for the board, I knew it was 1 night a month, consistent 2 nights a month. Kids aside, one of the kids can drive now, that helps a lot, but I'm having more work responsibilities in the evening and that if I have to cover somebody's class, and that's when I observe adjuncts and things like that. So I'm worried about my ability to fulfill my commitment to the board.
Fair enough. Any other discussion on this topic?
I agree with Rebecca. I have Monday night, I'm a director of the faith formation at our church in Oconomowoc, and our programs are on Monday nights. So, but fortunately it ended at Easter this year. Next year it's going to go from late August until June. And I've already worked the schedule where I'll be able to miss that night in order to be here for the board.
Of course.
So I'm missing 50% of the meetings every month that I have an obligation to before this obligation just isn't going to work well for me. And my other concern only with the subcommittee would be the issue with walking quorums, because there's 2 people on a board and you're sitting at a quorum already almost in the subcommittee. But I don't think that would be, that's just a matter of trust and integrity. I don't see that becoming a problem at all. I don't think people run for this office or distrustful. So I don't think that should really be a problem. But the time commitment, not only for the board, but for the people that would have to show up is 2 months a week. And a lot of the people I've talked to already have children that are either in school here or in high school. And, you're starting to miss family activities. So those would be my major concerns with the committee.
Yeah. I'm missing my daughter's softball game. Right? We all have things. So, all right. Any other discussion? Okay. Very good.
All right.
All right. Moving forward to what is now new business B.
Yeah. There we go.
Approving the 2025-2026 master agreement with the Arrowhead United Teachers Organization.
So as discussed before through negotiations, and the union did formally ratify the agreement. So the last step would be for the board to do so. So the negotiations committee is recommending the board make a motion to approve the 2025-26 master agreement with the Arrowhead Union Teachers Organization as presented.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 2025-2026 master agreement with the Arrowhead United Teachers Organization. Any discussion this evening? So Ron, this represents a 4.9% increase on average, right?
Correct.
That's a total
Teacher pool. Correct. Teacher pool.
4.9%.
Yep. Okay. To teacher salaries from a year ago. Correct.
Okay.
Very, very nice. it will be, to Dean's point, it'll be unheard of in Southeast Wisconsin. This
Fortunate to
percent
move
increase.
people to getting people onto that
The
schedule.
schedule we're
Well,
going to.
the schedule, but ultimately the pool of dollars, the schedule is one thing, but
Correct, the
ultimately what the
dollars.
board is
Yeah.
voting on is the dollar increase to teacher salaries. This won't be touched anywhere around. So very strong commitment from the board here financially, and again, it's greatly appreciated.
But we as a board have put ourselves in that position to be able to do that.
Yep.
And reward our teachers for their longevity. And that's been a goal to make it better situation for retention.
Yep. And the amazing thing is we were able to do a 5% increase, but part of the work through the committee was demonstrating our commitment. When I say our, the district's commitment to teacher salaries already. Again, if you're able to make people whole in 1 year, we had dollars there that were appropriate and that were really being allocated properly. So our people were being treated fairly. Now they're being treated more than market competitive, along with Dean's point of those longevity and the loyalty opportunities they have too. So it's fantastic. And again, when we talk about this around, I kind of like 5% and everybody's like, what? So, but again, so thank you very much to the board and the negotiations team. And as Nicole highlighted, our teacher comp team who looked out for everybody.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the 25-26 master agreement with Arrowhead United Teachers Organization, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Thank you. We'll start to prepare contracts ready to go for May 15th. Thank you.
All right, we're moving forward to approving the administrative salaries for the 2025-26 school year.
The board has met in closed session a couple times, and again, the board just is need to make a motion to approve the administrative salaries.
So, I'm going to make a motion that excludes Bob Blessington's, given his request that we reconsider. So I'm going to make that motion. So I move that we approve the administrative salary for 25-26 with the exception of Bob Blessington's, as we have not yet met to discuss his request.
So point of clarification, you're asking to remove Mr. Blessington's approval,
Correct.
but approve all other administrative salaries this evening.
Correct.
And then take on his separately.
And take on his.
Take on his separately.
Yes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Hearing that,
I'll second it.
we have a motion and a second to approve tonight's administrative salaries, removing Mr. Blessington's from that approval. Any discussion?
We would need to meet in closed session to discuss this, but since this came to all of us, it constitutes an appeal. Right? So that's the request for reconsidering. We haven't talked about it. Having that discussion doesn't mean whether or not we do anything with it, but we have not discussed as a board. So I'm not comfortable going with, we didn't talk about it, so then nothing happens to his request.
I had
Go ahead.
I did have a conversation with Ron. So I feel like I have the clarity that I need to make a decision.
And I also did, but since we didn't discuss as a group, that's why I don't know what other people did. So that's the reason for my motion.
We met twice as a board on this, and I felt it was very robust discussion.
7 hours, I think we have 7+ hours in on this.
I'm not saying all of this didn't happen. I'm saying we
Yep.
got a request from an administrator,
So
and
much-
therefore that's why I made this motion.
Much like our teachers, I'm very proud of the ability we had to offer administrators what I thought was a very market competitive wage going into the next school year. So I also think I have all the information I need to move forward. Any other discussion? Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve administrative salaries for 25-26, separating Mr. Blessington to be discussed at a later time. Everyone understand the motion that's on the table?
When we say later time, it'll be right after this motion, I'm assuming. You can make a motion if you'd like.
We have
I
to do it in
think
closed
You
session.
can, but somebody can make a motion to approve his salary this evening as well.
So just to make sure everyone understands the motion on the table, the motion on the table is to approve all the administrative salaries with removing Mr. Blessington,
Kind of like a consent agenda. Remove him out.
and then we could take action on that separately.
Yep, you can
Right.
take action separately.
Okay. So, clear? Everyone clear? Good. All right. All those in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. No,
So 4-1,
or one.
4-1. Okay,
No, because I think we should just approve them all
okay,
together.
okay.
So now we would need a motion.
Now we need a motion. Yep.
Did it carry?
Carried
You did
forward.
Carried
4-1.
forward.
Okay.
Yeah, motion carried forward.
Yep.
Sorry, a little spacey.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to approve Robert Blessington's salary as presented.
For 25-26.
Yep, as
Second.
presented. What's in the packet.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve,
You're good.
that's right, to approve Robert Blessington's salary for the 2025-26 school year. Any discussion?
What is your recommendation?
My recommendation was what was in the packet
Okay.
and what was presented to the board in closed session with the data, and my recommendation followed that. So just like it did with all the other administrative recommendations.
Okay. And I would have brought it up if we went to pull it out and discussed it. So what she did was would have a different way of what I would have done it, but we need to discuss it. And I think it's a fair increase, and we need to know what the other board members are saying.
Any other discussion?
So the purpose here would be to see, are people, so you were already comfortable with where things, I am also comfortable with it. What I want to hear is that the board has considered this so that we aren't guessing what one another think. Since we received this as an email, that we understand what we as a board made a decision of. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah, I mean, we made,
Same thing.
yeah, no, I understand, right? We made, I think I look at, we made a decision as a board.
We
Right.
did, but we
Right.
received an appeal.
Agreed.
And then if
Yeah,
we don't,
agreed.
so
Agreed.
my
Yep.
worry is if we get this email and we do nothing with it, then later somebody says, oh, shoot, we were going to talk about this, or
Yeah.
Mr. Blessington says, I'd like to talk to you about your decision.
Yep.
And we each made it, but it's a board decision. So I would want to make sure that we considered that since it's an appeal to the board.
Totally understand. Yeah, I thought the board did really nice work. I thought we worked really hard to make sure we're putting out there fair, market competitive salaries for administrators. So, all
I
right,
cannot
any
disagree.
further discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving the administrative salary for Robert Blessington for 2025-26 school year, say yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, our last item under new business this evening is approving the 6603 with Arrowhead Union High School for math teacher.
Yep, so Arrowhead School Board already has approved this. Again, it's another joint cooperative agreement. The administration recommends the board make a motion to approve the 6603 agreement with Arrowhead High School to share Naomi Fulton as presented.
So moved.
Second,
We have a motion and a second to approve the 6603 with Arrowhead Union High School for math teacher. Any discussion?
Just one note on the Mrs. Naomi Fulton in the paragraph plan of operation, the description of duties. The quote is referring to him. It
Uh-oh.
might just be a change to her.
I can highlight that for Arrowhead.
Other than that,
Yeah, so we did, Arrowhead
Arrowhead
drafted
creates it, yep.
this, right? But
Yep.
good catch. That's some detail right there.
operation of lab operation.
You can show me.
I'll read it.
Yep, you'll show me before we sign it.
Okay, any
Okay.
further discussion? All those in favor of approving the 6603 with Arrowhead Union High School for the math teacher, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, future meeting and agenda items is up next.
I'm just looking at my
So, We
calendar.
got the May 19th is.
May 19th, does that still work?
Still good with that?
I will be driving back from my daughter's college graduation, so hopefully I'll make it on time. But I'll text if I'm
Keep me in the
running.
loop.
Just let us know.
We could schedule later too, if that would be an issue
Move
for
it
you.
back half hour,
If that's okay with everybody. Be fine.
hour, whatever you need. I'm
Yeah,
comfortable.
I'm comfortable with moving it.
Does that affect
Mondays are lame, right now,
Um,
so let's do it.
student showcase or anything? Does that get too late then?
No,
Or-
I think as long as we know what it is, 6:30, that's fine.
Does
Mhm.
6:30 give you enough time, Pat?
Or 7? Whatever.
6:30.
6:30.
Fine.
Okay,
Okay.
Thank you.
all right. So then looking at
June
June,
23rd?
I cannot make the 23rd. Already missed one. South Lothian campus is 7.
30th?
30th is, I'm not here on the 30th. We're already up north. Got people coming in.
16th?
We
We can do the 16th. Ron, we don't need more time for in June.
No,
for anything.
Mondays in June are.
As
not
long as it
good for me.
happens in June sometime, it can be, there's nothing that's pressing that would have to
You
be
don't need
timely at
time
all.
to-
Nope.
Okay.
Dean, what is an alternative date that would work for you?
I commit my Mondays to school board, so
So Mondays only.
Mondays would be the best for me.
All right, guys. So the 23rd and the 30th are out. So we have the
Or-
2nd.
Or they're in and just one of us isn't here, but that's.
I mean, this. Mondays are not good for me during the summer. So. I could do the 9th. It's my wedding anniversary, but I can do the 9th.
It's a Monday.
We'll do something that weekend.
I can do the 9th.
Ninth,
No
okay?
difference to me.
How's the 9th?
So we're gonna meet.
Yeah, I can do it.
June 9th?
Yep.
At 6
close
o'clock.
To the last meeting.
That's all right. Okay, and then we got May 19th at 6:30. Okay. Do we want to set July? That would be best. With everybody's summer schedule.
June June 9th is at 6.
I think that's what I heard.
July 21st, 28th.
I can't do the 28th.
I can do.
That
the
week, I'm out.
21st.
You
And I
can't do.
can't do the 28th either. I can do the 21st.
My first,
I'm boring. I
It's a
can make.
21st.
So the 21st,
Dedicated.
Mhm.
July 21st. Perfect. And then we do have some upcoming committee meetings. We have May 4th or May 5th. Patrick, I'll talk to you. We have a 7:45 committee meeting already set for the finance committee meeting. And then policy, we have a meet and confer.
7:45 in the morning.
Oh, I'm sorry, 7:45 in the morning. Yeah, 7:45 in the morning. If we can make it. So, yeah, 7:45.
So,
And then hard,
And May 12th is policy.
hard stop on that one, because I got doctor's appointment after that.
That's fine.
I'm sorry, I was still adding July. Where did we go back to?
May 5th at 7:45 is finance committee.
Okay,
And then May 12th at 7:30 is policy.
got it.
So I would like to add to a future meeting, recognition of all of our volunteer coaches that helped out with MAA and the school-based sports programs. If you do the math, it's a lot of
Okay.
folks. Just a recognition of them. I know that this newcomer helps out as well, so all of our volunteers for that.
I'll recognize all of our
Jim, did we
athletic
ever get our
coaches and
approval?
stuff like that.
Coaches.
Coaches and volunteers. Got it.
Mr. Hannerhan for organizing all the folks that help. We
Got it.
hosted tournaments this year, all that kind of good stuff. So,
We can do that next month. Certainly,
all right.
certainly.
I
Okay.
would like to have on either one of those June or July meetings, consideration of what it would look like to move fourth graders over to this building.
That will discuss the factors that impact that.
For 25, 26.
Yeah,
Not for this fall.
not for this fall.
Let's do that in July if that's okay, Dean,
Yeah.
because of the short turnaround between May and we're
Right.
still finishing up school.
Yeah, I have
If
no
we could do
problem with
that.
that.
So a discussion for the 26-27 school year.
Yep.
Correct.
And that would be in July. Got it. Okay,
Yeah, we have to a full year to prepare,
absolutely.
do something like that.
Okay. Just looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed say no. Motion carries. Thank you, everybody.